an animal that came over 5 times illegally. You had Jamil, whose father's a friend of mine. Jamil was killed, wonderful young boy from Los Angeles, from California. And he was killed, he was shot in the face 3 times by a guy that should have never been in this country. You had the veteran, you had a female, a wonderful woman who was a veteran, 65 years old. She was raped, sodomized, and killed in Los Angeles. And many, many more, many, many, many more. And people started saying, you know, maybe Trump's right. Maybe Trump's right. I'm right, believe me. And you know, when I won in New Hampshire, I have a special debt of gratitude for the people of New Hampshire because they gave me that first big victory, and it was by a landslide. And I wasn't supposed to win that. You know, you had other people that were supposed to win it, and all of a sudden Trump wins in a landslide. But I go to New Hampshire and you see these beautiful fields and these beautiful roads and trees and everything's so beautiful, and you just don't see it. And I'd go to groups and I'd say, what's your biggest problem in New Hampshire? They'd say, heroin. I said, heroin? It doesn't work out. You know, I mean, it doesn't look like it would be their problem. You don't think of New Hampshire and heroin. It's always the first thing. And it's heroin that comes from the southern border and comes up there and they sell it like candy. And their kids are addicted. Their kids are badly addicted. And you have many people addicted now beyond kids. I mean, you have people that are elderly that are addicted, and it's a tremendous problem. I said, I'm going to stop it. I'm going to stop it. I promise you, I'm going to stop it. And we're going to work to make your youth better, but the easiest thing to do is stop it so that it can't happen. You know, I don't smoke. I have friends that do smoke. It's very, very hard for them to stop. It's very easy for me not to smoke. Because you don't get caught, you don't get addicted, you don't get whatever it is, okay? So here's the story. So on the southern border, we're going to do something that's so great. Did you see Vicente Fox, the ex-president of Mexico? Did you see the arrogance and the anger that he had toward the United States? So he's being interviewed by CNN, I think, by CNN the other day. And he talked, and he used the F-bomb, right? He used the F-bomb. Can you imagine if I used that word, what would happen? I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be getting ready for the electric chair. This guy was out of control, his anger. Now, he used to say, there'll never be a wall, we won't allow it. Now he said, we'll never pay for the wall. That's a big difference. So far, we're building the wall. Okay? We're building it. But he said, and he's really a very arrogant guy. He said, we will never pay for that blank wall. Now, you know what they do? Yes, we will. You're right. Yes, we will. By the way, you know what the press did? I did this once, not so long. We will never pay for that blank wall. And they beeped me. So everyone thinks I used the word. They say it was terrible. I don't use the word. But they actually went, we will never pay, beep. And everyone said, how could you use that word? These people are the worst. I mean, they are the worst. So former President Fox said, we'll never pay for the wall, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here's the story. The politicians come up to me. First they say you never build the wall, then they found out it's easy. You know, in China, 2,000 years ago, they built a wall 13,000 miles long. We need 1,000 miles, it's 2,000, but you have natural barriers and lots of good things. So we need 1,000 miles, right? That's so easy for me. Oh, am I good at building? You know, I'm building the old post office in Washington. I'm ahead of budget, it's just, I'm way under budget, I'm ahead of everything. I'm 2 years under schedule, 2 years. We're ahead of schedule by 2 years, and everyone's saying that's amazing. And interestingly, everybody wanted that job. One of the most competitive jobs in the history of the United States from the GSA. Everybody, you know, it's on Pennsylvania Avenue right by the White House. I liked it because if I don't make the White House, at least I'll still live on Pennsylvania Avenue. I promise. So what happened is they had the best companies, I mean, some of the greatest hotel companies in the world, almost all of them. Some of the great office building companies of the world. It was going to be converted. It's an incredible building. And I put in a plan to do a beautiful 300-room, super, super luxury hotel. It'll be, by far, I think it'll be the greatest hotel in the United States when it's finished. Okay, so I put in the plan. Problem is it's the Obama administration, so I figured it's tough to get. So two things you had to do. Prove massive wealth, because they want to make sure it gets built, and you have to show a great concept. And they choose you, they choose. So there were many, many people. They brought it down to 10 groups. I think they started out with over 100. They brought it down to 10, and I got it. And I got it because my statement was phenomenal, and I got it, they're gonna get it done. And I got it, and by the way, I filed my papers, just so you know, I filed my papers, Federal Election Commission. They get the papers, almost 100 pages long. Everyone said he'll never run, and then I said I'm running. And then all these pundits said, oh gee, he's running. Then they said he'll never sign Form A. That's where you sign your entire life away. I signed Form A. They said, what's going on here? This is very strange. Then they said he'll never put his financials in because maybe he's not as rich as people think. So I put my financials in. They also said, but he'll never do it, and if he did, he'll delay, because I had 45-day extensions. You're allowed all these extensions. I could have delayed it for years. I put it in within the time limit of 30 days. I had accountants working around me. And the statements are phenomenal. Tremendous assets, tremendous net worth, tremendous cash flow, very little debt, almost no debt. And what happened is everyone was shocked. In fact, you never read about that, right? They went there. They said at the Federal Elections Bureau, they said they've never seen crowds like this. This was the bloodsuckers going to check because they were trying to see if there's something, maybe the company's not so good. It turned out to be much better than anybody ever envisioned. All the numbers, everything. And it turned out to be much better. And you know what? They hardly write about it. It's sad, right? You know. Can you imagine if they were bad? Well, first of all, if it was bad, I wouldn't have run. Can't run because it was bad. Somebody said, now I know you're rich. I said, why? Because I'm a private company. Nobody really knows what I have. Now they do to a certain extent because of those papers. But a friend of mine, very smart, said, now I know you're rich. I said, why? Because you would have never run if you weren't rich, because you have to expose everything. I mean, everything gets put before the public. And I think that's the way. And the reason I tell you that story is this, because it doesn't matter. The happiest people I know aren't necessarily rich. They're people with great families, great kids, you know, etc. That's true. Sure. In fact, some of the most unhappy people, frankly, some of the most unhappy people are the rich ones. I know them too, and they are miserable, miserable people for the most part. A couple of happy ones, like me, I'm happy. But the reason I tell you that story is because, and it's very important, because that's the kind of thinking we need running this country now for a while, because our country is dead. Our country is dead. With the $19 trillion, with the tremendous deficits all over the place, we're going up to $21 trillion. We need that kind of thinking. But we need tough thinking on our military. You know, our military is really in bad shape. Our equipment's in bad shape. You know, every time we send equipment over, the enemy takes it, because we give it away to our so-called people that we're fighting with, and a bullet's fired in the air and they run away. We sent 2,300 Humvees, brand new. Now, the Wounded Warriors are such incredible. They have more guts than all of us, folks, I have to tell you. But many of them were hurt driving around in unprotected Humvees, you know, where the truck blows up and they lose their legs and their arms and they just lose everything. And now we send over 2,300 Humvees, armor-plated, the most incredible things that you've ever seen, where they go boom, and you're safe, right? The enemy has them. ISIS has them. They took them because they had a skirmish. Bullets were fired, and the people we're backing ran. They just ran. They ran away, and they gave thousands of these things to. I mean, can you imagine when they said 2,300? I said 2,300 in the Middle East. How do you get that many? I figured they meant 2 or 3 or 23. 2,300 Humvees. They take our rifles. A friend of mine has a son who's serving over in Iraq, actually. He's in the area. And he tells me, good guy, good kid too. He tells me, I said, what is it? What's it like? And these are great people. I said, what's it like? He said, it's so discouraging because the enemy has better equipment than we have. They take the equipment away and they use it and they have better equipment than we have. And he says to me, it's really sad. They're using our latest models of everything. We don't have what they have because they take it away. We send it over to allies that are either dishonest with us or don't want to fight or whatever. Folks, it's all going to change, believe me. It's all going to be smart. We're not going to take this like that. We're not going to be the stupid people anymore. So our military's in trouble. We're going to rebuild our military. We're going to make it so big, so strong, so powerful. The cheapest thing we can do, by the way, nobody's ever going to mess with us again. Nobody, okay? Because what we have. And I didn't want, and you know, they'd say, oh, well, maybe he did, because he was speaking to Howard Stern months before we went in, and I said, you like Howard Stern, right? He's a good guy, actually. Much different than he is on the radio, I will tell you. But, and he asked me before the war started, I said, well, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. Let me tell you something. I was always against going into Iraq because it was going to destabilize the Middle East. It turned out I was right for other reasons. There were no, weapons of mass destruction. We have totally destabilized the Middle East. Then Obama takes over, and when he got out the wrong way. And then I said, take the oil. So I said, don't go in. Then I said, take the oil. Right? Take the oil. You've been hearing that for years. I said, look, we're there. You know, in the old days when we were a strong country, when we were respected, to the victor belong the spoils, right? We're the only country, we go into these places, whether it's Vietnam, whether it's wherever the hell we go into countries, we fight a war, we leave. What's the purpose? We spend trillions of dollars, thousands of lives, wounded warriors all over the place who we love, and we get nothing. So what do we get in Iraq? We get nothing. $2 trillion we spent. Now we've spent $4 trillion, $5 trillion in the entire Middle East. We could have rebuilt our country. We could have rebuilt our roads. If our presidents, our great geniuses, if they would have gone to the beach, just go away to the beach, relax, go play golf, relax, we would have been far better off. I mean, frankly, Saddam Hussein was not a nice guy. But he was good at a couple of things. Number one, he was really good at killing terrorists. He would kill those people so fast. There were no terrorists. He was great at that. So we attacked Iraq, which, by the way, did not knock down the World Trade Center, just so you fully understand it. But we attack Iraq. So now it's destabilized. Now Obama comes in, and he does the same thing. He gets out. He announces when he's leaving. So the enemy says, I couldn't believe when I heard that. Now, I'm not a military man, but I do love the military. The military is great. I'm the most militaristic person in this room, believe me. So I'm sitting back, and I'm saying, General Douglas MacArthur, General George Patton, these were tough generals. He's not tough. I don't care about tough. I care about smart. They were smart. They also happen to be tough. Patton was seriously tough, right? He was so tough. He would do things to his men, and the men still said, I'll die for you, sir, I'll die for you. You know, it's a different world than it is today. So here's what happens. We have to get somebody in there. That's right, and we have them. West Point, Annapolis, all of these schools, the Air Force Academy. We have great people. We have great people, but we have faulty thinking. But we're going to build up our military. We're going to take care of our veterans. Our veterans are being mistreated horribly. We're going to take care of our veterans. So, here's the bottom line, and I really appreciate your time, and this is, I mean, it's really, this has been pretty exciting. I think I set a record today with these wise guys, you know. But we were nice, the press, see the press, the dishonest media, we were nice, everything was nice, nobody got hurt. In fact, the police were extraordinarily nice, they didn't even want to touch anybody, okay? They'll probably find a little incident where there was a touch, and that'll be the end of that officer's career. He'll never be able to get his pension. He'll go home, they'll fire him for police harassment. Isn't it sad? Okay. It's pretty sad, folks. But anyway, but the truth is, and what I talk about all the time, is we have to have a winner country again. Oh, we're not gonna have a country. We need borders, we need strength. And you know, I was going to tell you before, I was going to tell you that with the wall, they come off, and these guys are all bought and paid for by the special interests, believe me, by the pharmaceutical companies. That's why you don't have proper bidding for drugs. You don't have proper bidding, because they own, I mean, Jeb Bush's fundraiser was Woody Johnson. Woody Johnson, he's the chief fundraiser. Now, why? Assuming Jeb Bush made it, which he didn't, but assuming Jeb Bush made it, he's got Woody Johnson of Johnson & Johnson, owns the jets, good guy, by the way. But do you think he's gonna say, it's okay to bid out the drugs company? You know, they don't bid. You have all these special interest groups, like Marco. Marco has guys where they have people in Washington, lobbyists, it says Marco on the forehead. You need something done? Marco. They give him a lot of money. You need something done. Ted Cruz, he's got a lot of different people. That's all right, don't worry about it. Don't worry. You know, they're so quiet now. You know why? They're in the room, but they're really enjoying the speech. That's what's happening. The one guy just stood up and the other one pulled him down. And it looked like he said, no, look, I want to listen to this. Okay? Telling you, we come a long way, folks. Ted Cruz is big with the oil and gas. He's big with the banks. He borrowed $1 million from Goldman Sachs in Citi, and he didn't report it on his financial disclosure form. You know why? Because he's Robin Hood. Because he goes around telling all his constituents, I am going to take care of the banks for you. But he forgot to report he had $1 million. Okay, so he borrowed $1 million, didn't put it down. No good, no good. Let me just tell you, folks, very simply. We're going to start, you mean Lion Ted. Lion Ted, it's true. So I didn't want to do it last night of the debate because I wanted to do so. I wanted to act very presidential last night. They said, it would be good. My daughter Ivanka and Jared, her husband, they said, you know, you're a very smart guy. It would be really great tonight if you could act really presidential. So I did. But it's not as exciting as the other, right? You know, you probably had an audience that said, Trump's done a good job tonight, but this is boring. This is not the same. We want to hear about Lion Ted, and we want to hear about Little Marco. And we want to hear about the absentee governor. Okay. So here's the story. Here's the story. We're going to start winning again, folks. We're going to win with our trade. I've got the best people in the world. I've got the best you know, we have the greatest business people in the world. I have the best negotiators in the world, and they're dying to come on board. Rich people, they don't want money. You know, right now we have political hacks negotiating against China. China has these killers, the pyramid. They take their top 3 people, United States. We're like a trough. It was in the Times today. I made the statement yesterday. China has done the single greatest bank robbery in the history of the world. It's what they've done to the United States. They've taken our money, our jobs. I love China. I do a lot of business with China. I have them as tenants. They're great. They buy condos. They're great. And I'm not angry at China. I'm angry at our leaders for allowing China to get away with it. And it's not going to happen anymore. So what we're going to do is we're going to start winning again. Big league. If I get elected. If I don't get elected, guess what, folks? Lots of time, we'll have a lot of fun together, saying, oh, isn't it too bad? Look what's happening to our country. We can change it. But I'll tell you what, 4 more years, we're not going to